So today's objectives, we're going to go through background information. We're going to navigate the new, and our lovely hosts are going to do a demo for you navigating all of the new spaces within Aware New Nav. We're also going to identify each section and provide any additional support needed, and that'll be when we go through all of those questions. So without further ado, I'll be passing it off to our lovely host to take it away.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Thank y'all for joining us. We like to start out with a little icebreaker to kind of feel where you are. So if you want to answer our question, we're asking, what is your current knowledge of the new navigation in Aware? And you can say 1 through 4. Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced, or you can be number 4. We love you if you're number 4 and you still live in Classic. That is perfectly fine as well. You're here to learn. We just kind of want to gauge where our audience is. We have lots of 1s and 2s. I like it. I think I've only seen 1 4. Awesome. Have we seen any 3s? A 2 or a 3, between a 2 and a 3? I like it. Okay, so you've been getting in there and you've been practicing. That's what we love to hear. We're going to take you through the lens of a teacher view for navigating with the new navigation. So some background information that I want to provide you is, again, we're going to go through the new navigation from the lens of a teacher. And so from this lens, we're also at the very end of the presentation today, we're going to give you a copy that you can grab today of this presentation, and you can put your name on it and your picture, and you can help deliver it to your staff so that they feel supported through these new changes. So we're actually going to give you a copy of the presentation for you to utilize in your own staff development. Okay, so as we begin with some of the background information, I always like to tell people, why did we change? What was the need and why did we go down this route? And so the main thing is our whole goal with new navigation was that everything would be 3 clicks or less. As you're navigating software, we don't want you to spend your time clicking. We want you to spend your time drawing conclusions or creating what you need to within the software, not clicking. And so we added things like continue where you left off mentality, so that you, I joke to teachers I work with, but you don't necessarily have to remember the name of your test anymore. It's going to be the most recent one on your list if you just created it. So we have that continue where you left off. In addition, the biggest present we're giving you with new navigation is we're saving you on average 10 to sometimes even 15 clicks. It really depends on what you're navigating to. And so just getting to an assessment, we're saving you 6 to 10 clicks every single time. So it should shave off the amount of time that you're having to actually navigate and find something. So we want to make sure that you know that. Some other pieces that we want to make sure you're aware of is right now, you'll see that back to Classic button and back to the new Aware, and that will be going away before long. And so make sure that your staff gets adjusted and prepared, because we actually can remove Classic Aware for you today. We have had 25 roughly school districts who have turned off Classic Aware. They didn't want to wait on our timeline, so they decided to train their staff and go ahead and turn it off. And you can see why, because you're going to start troubleshooting through Classic Aware and the new navigation when working with new staff. And so you will have to be prepared to support both of those. So when your district is ready, we can just shut that off for you so that you are ahead of the curve. But be expecting Classic Aware to go away soon rather than later. So we'll put it that way. All right, as we continue on within our slide deck, we have additional support pieces for you. We have the 4 different webinar series that Jeremy did last spring. We also have all of our online help guides and then a quick video overview of the new navigation. So again, you can provide that to staff as they are learning the new navigation as support elements. Okay, so as we start, we'll talk about the very first thing that you see when you're in the new navigation is an overview page. This is very exciting because you're not in an orange screen anymore. You're in a place that will allow you to see the most recent 5 assessments that you wrote and the most recent 5 assessments that you gave. And so you can quickly navigate into these. They are hyperlinked, so you can click on one of the name of the test and actually go to editing, or you can go automatically into data analysis. You'll also see that you can configure a new data view here and create a new assessment here. So if you're already worried about where's the button to create a new assessment, it's found in more than one place now. And so making sure that you know that those buttons have more than one availability now moving forward. Okay, and hopefully this screen will give you peace of mind. And so we're going to talk you through what Classic Aware looks like versus the new navigation. So if you look at the picture in the middle, that is Classic Aware with the tabs. And we had Analyze, Assessments, Item Bank, and Students. Again, this is from the teacher lens. If you look at new navigation and you look at my blue arrows, what do you see on the right-hand side? It's the exact same titles. So you can see analysis, assessment, item bank, and students. So we didn't remove anything that you had before. Everything is under each of those sections, whereas it was a tab before, now it's its own section. So just keeping that in mind, that kind of helps adjust when you look at the left versus the right. Really, nothing has really changed that much. And so it just looks different and prettier. So that would be the main adjustment there. All right, we're going to go through each of those sections. So we talked about analyze, assessments, item bank, and we talked about the student area. And so we're going to now go through each one of those elements, and Jeremy's going to start with analyze.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. And like Emily really pointed out, each of these sections, while we won't have the chance to dive through absolutely every single thing that you used to do in Classic and how it works in the new nav, we'll hopefully be able to really highlight the things that you're most likely coming in here to do so that you can figure out the nuances a little deeper later, potentially with help articles or other resources we'll be putting out soon. But to really kick us off in the Analyze tab, the first thing you're probably coming into Aware to look at are your quick views. When you hit the quick view area in the left navigation, when you were in Classic, you were just hit with a blank orange screen. And that overview that Emily went over just a second ago helps alleviate some of that to give you potentially one click to the thing that you were just in. But if it's not there in the overview, I can go and actually access the quick views button and start trying to find the data that I'm looking for. When looking at it, there's easy to use filters that have replaced your multi-step drop-down folders, whereas before you were forced to click through every single drop-down. Now, with these easy to use filters, you can choose the filter that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. Like Emily said, everything in here is sorted pretty much by date with the newest up at the top. 95% of the time, you're probably not even going to need to use a filter if you're looking for an assessment that was given pretty recently. And so I can find it in the list, check the box, click apply, go straight into the quick view. And once the quick view is open, everything works exactly as it has before. So like 95% of what you're doing in Aware is exactly the same. We've just changed a little bit of the path on how you get there. You can quickly load that data view with any of the templates that have already exist before you actually load it. If you notice in the GIF, you click the check, you can click that drop down, click load standards if you want that one before you even start. And probably the most powerful tip you can use is to start searching for your assessments by keyword rather than using the filters. I know I'm looking for the STA science demo. I'm going to start typing STA. There it is. Boom, check, check, done. The next piece within Analyze we want to talk about is a new functionality we released relatively recently called saved filters. And it's towards the top right and can be hard to see sometimes if you're not really looking forward or paying attention. Most of you probably have that icon on the top right, but instead of it being filled in, it's actually open. It kind of looks like an empty bookmark, so to speak. To use your save filters, create a list of filters that you know are going to be most powerful for you. With this example, we're coming through this as the context of I'm a 5th grade math teacher. In the new nav, not only am I seeing math, I'm seeing reading and social studies and a bunch of assessments that aren't super pertinent to me in the moment. I need to see my math assessments right now. So set the filters that you need, then click the saved filter button, the flag button towards that top right, and it will save those filters for you. So the filters you need can be one click away. And you can even default them, and I'll show you how to here in just a little while, so that every time you load quick views, it defaults to those filters with 0 clicks needed in order to go and find 5th grade math. Quick views and single test analysis are very powerful pieces within this. And single test analysis is a piece that is actually included with the save filters functionality, but it is a premium feature only. So if you have single test analysis, you should notice the save filters functionality there. But for all users, coming very soon, we'll have save filters for author and profiles in the next coming months. So keep your eye out for that. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the data views bank. The data views bank was kind of a one-stop shop where in Classic, you had potentially up to 5 different places for you to find and access your saved views. It was My Save Views, District Views, Curriculum Views, Campus Views, and we could go on and on. The data views bank might be something that now that we've surfaced it and made it easier to see, might be functionality you weren't even fully sure that you had before. You can do a quick view, save it, title it, and access it in your data views bank. Now, there are small changes to the language and how we implemented saved views in the data views bank. And we'd really like you to check out the online help guides to actually look into and dig into those language changes. But essentially, we've kind of bucketed all of your saved views into either a saved view or a quick view, which can easily toggle, search, find, and even favorite some of your data views so that you don't have to search for it every single time if it's one you go to frequently. When you favorite your saved views, once you've found it, click that little star on the right, and it will add it to that overview widget, and you can save up to 5 favorited views. So you never have to go search for it again. It's just right there for you, one click away when you load Aware. Now, let's talk a little bit more about single test analysis. As I said, it is an Aware Premium feature, but it is so powerful, and it is available in the new nav only. You can't find single test analysis in Classic. And so that's another thing to communicate. All changes moving forward will be in the new navigation only and not appear in Classic. Single test analysis has several end goals. And the idea with single test analysis is to provide visuals and new ways to analyze your data on a test to help draw the teacher to conclusions with actionable steps after viewing that data. The single test analysis platform supports PLCs in a way that is so extremely powerful. It lets you do less slogging through spreadsheets to find out what it is I need to do now, what it is I need to know now. And it provides questions for additional data discovery if needed. And the last thing to talk about in the analysis section is the reports button. The reports button exists in several of these segments of the left nav, depending on the rights and access that you have. But the reports button here under analysis gives you the exact same reports you're used to. If you have the lead forward license, you see your lead forward reports, you see the incorrect responses report, and every report you're used to, one click away under that reports button. I'll pass it back to Emily to talk about assessments.
Okay, so now we'll cover everything that is under the assessment area that was the assessment tab. One piece I want to be sure to lean into is Jeremy stressed that things like single test analysis will not be found in Classic Aware, but other additional new features will not be found there as well. So we have enhanced performance levels, and we have enhanced our item bank functionality. And so you'll see item bank doesn't function in Classic Aware anymore. And as we discover new bugs for Classic Aware, you can probably guess that we're not going to be spending time fixing bugs, as that system will be going away. And so making sure that you really get up to date with the new navigation is going to be pertinent. As you're going to see when you create an assessment, you really need to be able to set your performance levels correctly. So again, if you're in Classic Aware, you're not going to be able to do that with autonomy and the way that you need to. So just a couple of reminders with that. As you are in assessments, the very first button is Administer. And I'm going to be honest, this is going to be the biggest change. Okay, this is what teachers see again. So this is the old test available. So that is that orange button that was at the top left corner of the screen was test available. That's gone. That won't appear anymore. Now teachers will navigate to Administer. Once they get here, you'll be able to see everything just like you did before. You'll notice that this screen looks identical. So when you went here, it looked exactly the same. Teachers were able to activate online assessments, print answer documents, preview the test, and then importantly, make sure that those entering of answers are completed here. So all of that functionality is identical to the way that it was in the past. But again, if you are working with teachers, this is a good area to point out and say, this is a large change. So when a test is available, you will no longer have an orange button. You will come down to this section and navigate to administer. The very next option is your assessment area where you create it. We are calling that author now, and it has a pencil next to it. So it is your authoring experience of creating an assessment. So again, here, this one will look different. It won't have that tree method of having to navigate down and remember, was it a teacher test? Was it a campus test? Was it a team test? You don't have to remember any of that anymore. You're going to see, again, continue where you left off mentality. The most recent test you created will automatically be at the top. And again, here you can use those filter options to search by grade, to search by subject. If you have access to more than one subject area or more than one campus, then you can utilize that as well. One piece that will be coming very soon is save filters for authoring. So just like Jeremy showed, you'll have that little flag where you can save, hey, I'm a 4th grade math teacher. I only want to see 4th grade math assessments in the event that you have additional access. Then you will only see those and you can create those save filters. So again, it's much faster navigating through the system. And then the last piece we'll show you here, this is another big change for everybody. We used to put all of our settings in the bottom left-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner of the screen is where you were used to clicking and finding all those settings for each of your tabs. Now we will have our little icon that you see represented in the screen, which is going to be your settings icon. So assessments for teachers will have a settings icon. This is where they can create their teams, manage their teams, or edit their teams. And so this is one of those items that, again, is a little bit of a change. Knowing where to find your settings will always be located in your gear icon. Okay, I'll toss it back over to Jeremy.
Yes, thank you. And I'll spend a pretty short amount of time on the item bank. And I'm noticing there are several questions rolling in, and Kajisha's trying to answer a few of them. But please keep in mind, as you're putting in your questions, Emily and I will do our best to try to answer them after the live demonstration near the end of the presentation. So we're not ignoring you. We're letting them collect, and then we'll try to tackle them as we go. Within the item bank, as Emily said, it's worth mentioning again, if you try to access the item bank in Classic right now, you're faced with a roadblock, basically, because the way that we changed the code, the old way of accessing the item bank just simply wouldn't work any longer. So we had to shut that off in Classic. But when you get into the new navigation, in the item bank section of the left nav, there's a new button called Questions and Resources, which basically takes you where the old item bank tab took you, but with a slightly fresher look. The item bank navigation is linked under Questions and Resources, where you can access and view item bank questions as you always have. And after you've been able to navigate to a particular course, you can now star or favorite the courses that you're using most frequently to make it easier for you to get back into those item banks quickly. And always remember, this is where you're going to create item bank questions for your local item bank. And to show you how that favoriting kind of looks, you'll notice to the right of the tree is an area where you have favorites available. If you haven't favorited any, this area looks kind of blank. But the example we've given you here is, let's pretend I am a middle school math department head, and maybe I'm needing to get into the item banks for 6th, 7th, 8th grade math and algebra 1 on a relatively regular basis. Well, instead of having to use that tree to navigate to those item banks every single time, I can now use the stars to favorite them and get to them right away and just have the 4 that I visit most often right there, a click of a button away. I'll pass it back to Emily.
Okay. So as we start talking about the students area, This particular tab was where you went to identify students and look at their information. And so you have the same access here, but it does look quite a bit different. You actually have some enhanced features associated with students now. So you can see that here, instead of having to type a student's name every time, you will automatically have a student list that appears for you based on your rostered courses. You can choose to see information in a variety of different ways. So filtering here is very high functioning because you can find students that are within a course. You can find out how many SPED kids you have in a course. You can find out how many at-risk kids, to kids of different demographics, all of those different areas, along with monitor groups and any sort of documentation you're doing on a student. All of that will show up within the student profile. So you can just scroll to the right and see all of these different areas and filter by all of these different areas. So that is definitely an increased capability that you did not have in Classic Aware. So it's nice to be able to find students in multiple different ways and view student groups differently. Under this same section, you'll have portfolio. And again, this is a tool that's been available for a while. It is a TIA solution primarily. And so it helps with that teacher incentive allotment to really track student growth. However, it can be used for best practices in general. Anytime you want to create a student portfolio, you can do so here with raw score percentage, performance level. You can do SLOs. You can do lots of different areas. Particularly, you can pull in samples and observations of student work. And so this tool is multifaceted. A lot of people hadn't known that they had that available. And now you can easily see it under the student section, and it will allow you to track student progress over time. All right, and then coming very soon for all of you Aware Premium users, we are releasing the Mastery Tracker very, very soon. You'll see a new little trophy that will pop up within your navigation within the student area. So this tool is very dynamic. It allows teachers to pull in assessment types, and this tool will automatically total up all of your learning standards that have been assessed over many different tests. And so you can see very quickly a raw score for a student based on their performance on a standard versus how many raw score points they could have earned and how they've done on the most recent assessment they've taken that has assessed that standard. So this tool will help and assist in teachers understanding what standards have been mastered, what are limited, and what are exceeding. And there are multiple different views. We'll probably be doing a webinar next month over the Mastery Tracker. So if you would like to learn more about this newest feature set, then be sure to look for that webinar next month. All right, and monitor groups is going to be another piece that is found under the student area. And so in the past, monitor groups were created by campus or district admin, and teachers had the capability to see which students were being monitored. And so a lot of times we miss this button because it was nested within the navigation and we couldn't find it very easily. And so now it has its own sections where you can easily click on it and identify what monitor groups have already been created and what students of yours have been assigned to these monitor groups. In addition, this is how teachers can create their own student access list. We used to call this a monitor list. Now we call it a student access list, just to kind of help with confusion. Monitor groups are created by campus and district admin. Student access lists are created by teachers. And so this will pave the way for teachers to really start creating groups of students that they want to monitor over time based on their performance and varying other areas of need for students. All right, this section as well has your settings icon. And again, I've seen several of you asking questions, how do we upload STAR? You're gonna go to your settings icon to be able to upload and import any tests that you want to. So make sure that you look for that settings gear. As like I said, it's going to have all of those tools that were in the bottom left or the bottom right of your navigation in Classic Aware, and they're gonna have all of those available. Under this particular section for teachers, this one's really important. So this settings icon allows teachers to create access lists, to manage their access lists. And then really important is to be able to share their classes. So that's a great feature that a lot of districts haven't tapped into, but being able to share your roster with co-teachers that need to have access to your data and your students, you can easily do that. And that setting is found, again, underneath your gear under that student section. All right, as we wrap up just our initial overview of all of the pieces of the new navigation, Jeremy's going to show you a live demo in just a second and cover a couple more areas, but we want to hear from you. What's your favorite new feature? As you heard, we have a bunch. We have an overview screen. Creating data is a lot different. Filtering, saved filters, the student profile I mentioned has a lot of new features. We're doing the continue where you left off mentality, and you can be a number 7. I can't decide. I love them all. Maybe you're just really happy you attended today. But give us what number or numbers. I like that you're giving us multiple numbers. What do you like that is a new favorite feature of yours?
Well, I saw someone type mastery tracker. So maybe we need an 8th option, mastery.
Mastery tracker. I know. We're so excited about that too. Been working on that one for a while. All right, 4, 7. There's a 7. I was like, give me some more 7s. 1, 4, 5. I like it. 1, 4, 5. Great. As you can see, hopefully you were able to take away from this that we are really purposely trying to make your life easier. We are taking away 15 clicks on average per activity you're doing in the system. So we're trying to give you a big Christmas present here and say you should be clicking 3 times or less. And we have set up the system specifically to help guide you in that. We do want you drawing conclusions, creating assessments, monitoring students, rather than clicking 15 times. So we want to make sure that that is what we are giving you with this new navigation. So I have been in a lot of different campuses and districts, and sending that message has been very positively received amongst teachers. I've even gotten hugs from some teachers who are very, very happy that they are clicking much less than they used to. So hopefully that was very, very helpful in this overview. Like we said, we're going to give you a copy at the end. We're going to give you a tiny URL to make a copy of this presentation for yourself to share with teachers. And before we do that, though, Jeremy's going to give you a live demonstration.
All right, so yeah, let's kick off the live demonstration. And I've got 2 tabs open at the top that I'll go back and forth between. One is specific to a teacher view and the other is specific to an administrator view. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in the administrator view because most of what you can do that I'm going to be covering, at least during this live demo, are going to be your big bang for your buck kind of actions. A lot of the things that we've kind of already talked about already in the webinar, just showing it to you in action. And so because so many of those things are so similar, we won't dive a lot into the admin specific things. And this will be more of a generic for all users. It's worth pointing out, I mentioned this before, that with the new navigation, 95% of what you're actually trying to accomplish works exactly the way as it always has. Once you actually open the quick view, open the assessment, open the student profile, everything you were attempting to do from that point forward works the way that it always has. So our first step in updating things was to just update how you got to those things. That's really the big principle that we've got going on here. So let's begin by kind of talking about when you land, again, the overview, you're going to get 2 things surfaced to you right off the bat that are going to potentially save you a whole lot of time, assuming you're not in one of those roles that gets every bit of information, period, for the entire district. If you look at the Quick View's recently scored assessment widget, let's do this in the administrator window. If an assessment has just been recently scored and I'm a teacher, I have up to 5 assessments that are going to pop up here, and they're the last 5 assessments that were scored. So when I land in Aware, instead of getting the classic Analyze tab with a bunch of empty space, and I'm required to click one time for quick views, then a second time for the type of assessment that I wanted. So it was a campus assessment, and then this year, and then 5th grade, and then ELA, and then that. There's my quick view, finally there. Whereas in the new nav, if it's an assessment that was recently scored, I'm 1 click away, open it up, there's my quick view, and I can use it exactly the way that I was doing it before. The overview also lets you do essentially the same thing with recently visited assessments. And this will be really powerful for anyone that authors assessments, whether you're a district administrator or a teacher. If you're in a situation where you're in the middle of authoring a quick check for your kids, and then 3rd period's about to start and the conference is almost over, I didn't quite get to finish, Instead of having to go through the drop downs and click, 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 click in the assessment tab, I now can just go straight to the one that I was working on, that demo. Boom, here it is. I can pick up right where I was and continue editing right off the bat. And so that was going to be really powerful as well. The next thing that you're most likely coming into the nav to do, like I mentioned before, is going into quick views. When I go into quick views, you're presented with the table, and I wanted to point out some of the things we talked about during the webinar live in action. A question that we get pretty frequently from teachers is, I used to be able to, in Classic, filter my quick views by class period, but clicking on the class period. You can do the same thing. It's just up here at the top now. This quick view type right at the very top. Let's do this as a teacher, sorry. This quick view type right at the top. If I were to click down right here where it says all my students, here's all of my class periods. And then underneath that are my student access lists. So if I need my quick view filtered by a class period, it's just now my initial step. I pick the class period and then I can go find the assessment that I want. Emily mentioned this. Most of the time you're coming in to find a quick view that was done very, very recently. And you'll see here within our selection, this is sorted by year. I've got 22, 23 at the top, 21, 22, 18, 19, etc. 95% of the time, if I come into the quick view table, if it's an assessment that was delivered this year, it's probably going to be here before I even apply a filter. And so boom, I've saved so many clicks just being able to check, hit apply, go straight to the quick view. Sometimes, though, you want to toggle back and forth between assessments. And it's worth pointing out right here, one of the power moves that you can use that the left navigation kind of left on a sort of curated list of assessments on the left. Well, if you click quick views on the left right here and just go straight back, I'll expand that nav so you can see. If I go to show straight back to quick views, I lost my progress. But if I go to quick views in the breadcrumb at the top, all of my progress on what I had filtered and searched for and checked is still right here. And so if I'm just one assessment away from what I wanted, unselect the old one, select the new one, hit apply, I'm back into the assessment that I need. Something else that's worth pointing out is in Classic, while you were searching for assessments, you had no choice. When you went through your clicks, you were forced to go through the tree. In the new nav, you're not required to go through the tree. If I know that the assessment type I'm looking for is going to be a district-based assessment, I apply that filter, boom, I have all of my district-based assessments. My most recent 3 are right here. That's the one I was looking for, click and apply. I am no longer required to go through every single filter. Most of the time, your year filter won't be needed unless you're really looking for something super historical. So just choose the best filter and get the most bang for your buck. And then lastly, we really made it as obvious as we could that the search by title is right here. You could do that in Classic, but it's more obvious that you can do it here. If you know a few keywords for what it is you're looking for, type the word that you're looking for, and then you'll probably find the assessment just super, super quick. Type it out, find it, click it, go. And then don't forget your save filter. I'm just going to show that working really quickly. Let's say I'm a math and science teacher. I can save, let's say math as a subject, and then let's just say I really only want this most recent year. And then when I click the save filter button, I can name this 22, 23 math, hit create. I now have a saved filter that I can toggle to if I need to, but just for fun, let's say I'm also that science teacher. I can toggle math off, and then I'll have to go back a year. I don't have any recent science assessments in my demo here. Here's my science set. Save a new filter set, 22, 23 science, done, create. And then when I come back to quick views, I have all these tests. Instead of going through every single filter, I go to save filter, math, apply. There's my math test. Save filter, science, apply. There's my science tests. People that use saved filters are going to save dozens of clicks every time they come in here trying to get it to do what they want to do. And then icing on the cake, let's say I am just the math teacher and I only want it to show me math. I'm not worried about the reading assessments or social studies or whatever. Click the favorite star. It is now your default. Hit apply. If I leave quick views and come back, my year, whatever it was I saved is now my default. I can still reset it and find whatever I want, but if I leave and come back, boom, default. I get back right to where I was without having to do that. Right now, save filters is only available in quick views and single test. Like we mentioned prior, it's coming for author and student profiles really soon. So that's quick views in a nutshell. The next thing you're most likely coming in here to do is to give an assessment if you're a teacher. If I'm a teacher, I can go to the Administer button, which was the old Test Available button in the top left of Classic. I click it. It works exactly like it always has from here. I can turn on online assessment. I can enter answers. I can print my booklets. I can start online testing, etc. as I always have. Just look for that Administer button. The next thing I'm probably coming in here to do is maybe author assessments, whether it's my own personal quick check or maybe it's an assessment. I'm a district user. I'm going to come over to the admin space to show us this one. Within the author area, you'll notice Administer is not here. Administer really is for those teachers trying to give assessments. The administrators, if they need to proctor an assessment, need to proctor right. So just keep that in mind. That's what the proctor button does. And when I come into author, I might have a whole bunch of assessments to fish through, but the same principles that applied to quick views apply here in author as well. Use the filtering that is going to give you the most bang for your buck. And if I'm looking for a particular subject or test type, start there. Or if I'm looking for a title, let's say I'm looking for a demo test I put together. I'm looking for this STA grade 4 math. I just typed the word demo, which is part of the title. It's just like a couple of buttons away on my keyboard, click it, I can open the assessment. And from here forward, everything is exactly the way as it behaved before. If I need to go back to the table, if I avoid the pencil on the left and come back using the breadcrumb, everything I was doing is still here. The word demo is here. If I had applied any filters, it's still saved. And that lets me find what it is I'm looking for. And again, I cannot overemphasize the importance of using keywords. If I know I'm looking for unit 4, type unit 4. I've only got 2 options. One of these is bound to be the one I'm looking for. I click it, ready to go. And the last really big bang for your buck action item that you're probably coming in here to do, I'll do this on the teacher side, is student profiles. Before, when you were in Classic, when you went to the student tab, we renamed it profiles because everything you access here is a student profile. And so you had to literally search for something before you could find anything. In the new navigation, especially if you're a teacher with less than 250 students, you've got every single student rostered to you just a click away. I can scroll real fast if I want, click the one I want. Searching by name or student ID continues to work. So if I'm looking for a student with last name Brown, I type Brown in. It's going a little slower at the second. It's not typically that slow. And then it will curate the list and find Brown. And then I can click that student profile. And here's the student profile, exactly the way that I'm used to it working, as it always has. Come back to profiles using the breadcrumbs. It saved my progress. I didn't lose anything. And then what's added functionality, Emily mentioned this a minute ago, everything I could search for before, and I might not have even known I could search for these things in the student tab before, everything I can search for is now a filter that you can apply. And so if I'm really worried about, let's say my 504 students, I need all of my 504 kids and I need to list. I apply the 504 filter, I have 11 students, and then boom, right here, here's an export button. I can download this as a CSV and I have a printed roster ready to go with basically their schedule and all of the information that might be pertinent to me as a teacher. It works the same way if you're a district administrator. Something I've told district administrators, often I'm in a position where maybe I need to know exactly how many pre-AP math students I have in 7th grade. Well, you can go apply those filters, grade 7, find the course you're looking for, type it in or check the box for the course you're looking for. And you have a curated list with exactly the number of students you need. The biggest difference with student profiles between the administrator and student view is when I come to as an admin, I more than likely have way more than 250 kids. And so in order to make it more performant, we capped it at 250. You can refine your searches until you're less than 250. But if you really are interested in seeing every single kid in your district, you can elect to click load all students. And it might take a little bit of time depending on the size of your district, but it will load every single student that you're allowed to see as an administrator, whether you're limited to your campus or the entire district. And then you can refine and curate your lists from here. All right. That's the new Nav live demo in a nutshell. Again, we didn't cover absolutely everything, but more than likely, these are the 3 or 4 things you are most likely to do. And so I'll return back to our slideshow.
Okay, so a few housekeeping pieces, and then we're going to answer some of the questions that y'all have been asking. I've been trying to answer those in the chat as much as possible, as fast as I can. but some additional pieces for support. So on the next screen, we actually have information for you related to how to get in touch with us. So one thing that's very nice to hear is we have had we've had new navigation available for almost 18 months. Yes, new navigation's been available for 18 months. And we have had few to no bugs within new navigation. So that's very exciting. If you do find something that you feel like is not working correctly, please contact our support. You can either email them or you can call in and discuss what issue that you're having. I promise you they can navigate you through this issue and make sure that you are okay and everything is working properly. But like I said, we have had almost no bugs with new navigation. So it's probably one of those things that it's just a learning curve, but we absolutely want to hear from you. And we also want to get feedback. If you have feedback to give us, please don't hesitate to provide that to support as well. All right, so now that you've gone through the webinar and a little bit of the training and seen it, so now re-rate yourself. What is your knowledge now of the new navigation? If you are a 1 or a 2 before, are you a 3 now? Are you a 1 to a 2? Where are you feeling more comfortable? And please put number 4 if you'd like to be friends. Put number 4. You'll never go back to classic. Yay! Hopefully you get to that point. I understand that's a comfortability thing, but we did do this to make your life easier and to make sure that you're clicking less and having less pain points in the system. So I hope you continue to work toward that. Never going back to classic, as again, that will be going away. We have not given you a tentative date. That's been the #1 question that people have asked. We do not have a date for when classic will be going away, but based on the things that we told you, we aren't fixing bugs in Classic Aware, and we are looking to shut that off as soon as we possibly can. I will say that. So make sure that your staff is up to date and trained on the new navigation. Okay, we already covered some of these resources. We can skip through and cover some new updates and new information. We always provide you with our teacher training site that you can go and watch little less than 5-minute videos. If you need your teachers to get up to date with Aware and Strive for the beginning of the school year right now and know how do you create an assessment and how do you actually look at your data within the system and how do you create your goal for the beginning of the year in Strive, this website is the website for you to share with your teachers. It does have little sections of videos that they can navigate through and do activities so that they make sure that they are ready to go for the beginning of the year. All right, some pieces on what is next. These are usually your favorites. These were my favorites when I was a user. And so we'll talk about what's new. We have already released a new line reader tool that can be turned on for online testing. Again, this is primarily for early readers who would like, while they're reading a passage, to have that line reader. That functionality is now available when you create an online assessment. We have enhanced our performance levels. If you have not gone and looked at that, I would really encourage you to do so. We have 6 different performance levels now, and you can set them up to match what the state has pushed out for your assessment. So you'll want to be doing that right now before you start testing. Again, we have now renamed Student Monitor List to Student Access List, and you can check out information about that as well. And then we briefly talked about our Mastery Tracker, which is our newest tool that will be for Aware Premium districts only. And again, we'll probably do a webinar on that next month, but you could be looking for that tool very soon in your navigation. Some of the other pieces that are the next sections coming soon, we have enhanced, actually this one is complete, I lied. We have already enhanced our interaction items related to number line, basic graphing, intermediate graphing, inequality graphing, match table grid, and fraction model. And so those all match what we saw from the state if those were on the state assessments, and those are already released and available for you with adjustments. We are currently working on drag and drop. It is receiving enhancements right now so that you can utilize more than one answer more than once. You can also order your questions to we're ordering time doesn't matter. So we are going to have those drag and drop enhancements coming to you very soon. And then something that you have all been asking for is the ability to print assessments with interactive items. And so I think that got cut off with interactive, with interactive items on them. And so we will have that capability also coming very soon to where you can print a test booklet that has these interactive items. All right, here's what you probably were holding on for. Here is a copy of the presentation that we gave today. So you can type in that tiny URL or you can scan the QR code. It is going to force you to make a copy of our presentation that just has blank spots for you to enter your district and your picture and your contact information while you're training your teachers. So you can have this exact slide deck and utilize it with your staff, as we hope that that will benefit you in this transition.